Well, welcome back, and it is all about jobs. As we talked about at the top of the hour, big week for Republicans and, of course, President Obama, as on Thursday he is expected to present his jobs plan to America. Joining us now to talk a little bit more about that and provide some insight is Joe Sestak. He's a former three-star admiral and former Pennsylvania congressman. Thanks for joining us, Joe.
Good to be with you, Heather. Thanks.
What do you expect to hear from the president on Thursday, and what do you think he needs to say?
I think that the president probably will do a slimmed-down package of that's not too different from the original economic stimulus bill, where he's going to invest in infrastructure. He'll have middle-class tax cuts as he wants to extend the payroll tax cuts. But that said, what I would like to hear is a recognition that there's only been one star running back on the field of recovery, and yet nobody's designing plays around that star running back, and that's small businesses. They have created all of the 1.6 million jobs that have actually been created in America in the last 12 months. Only 50,000 have been created by large corporations and large firms. Why aren't we designing the plays, the policy plays, around small businesses? We have a tax code that's absolutely skewed towards large business. We should be letting venture capitalists and angels that invest in small businesses have zero capital gains. We should be guaranteeing community bank loans to small businesses because they're having a hard time getting credit, and we should be having a tax cut for small businesses because they're the ones that are double taxed on Social Security and Medicare. They're the star running back, and Washington, D.C. never seems to talk about them. And
joining me on set is Joe Slakas, and this is similar to what you were saying earlier.
Yeah, I'm all for the small business growth. I opened a small business in April, and you know, there are some benefits. There's a larger tax deduction for new equipment, which, you know, I've used and I'm continuing to, and I'm looking to grow beyond where I am right now, and you know, I would like that community bank to loosen up on the money. They'll do something as long as I have collateral. They'll help me buy the equipment, but beyond that, the bank's not getting, I don't know, the encouragement from the government, or how, I don't know how you loosen that money up from the bank. We saved the banks and they've kept the money.
And that is a good question, though.
Well, you know, normally the U.S. government, through the Small Business Administration, will guarantee 72% of a loan to a small business. We should be doing it to 98% to credit-worthy small businessmen and women. You know, we tend to forget that the majority of Americans actually work or own a small business. 99.9% of all employers are small businessmen and women. We've slashed in half over the past 10 years our Small Business Administration budget and loan program. But on the outside, we can do so much just by letting small businessmen and women, and oh, by the way, remember, they've created all the jobs in the private sector in the last 12 months. Why don't we make sure this credit is more accessible? Why aren't we giving a 15% tax cut for every new job they create? They're the ones that are doing it, and yet people talk about corporations that haven't produced anything but, well, 50,000 jobs in 12 years, and yet they're sitting on $2 trillion of hard cash that they're not investing in America.
Joe, did you have an opportunity to listen to any of Mitt Romney's plan that he unveiled this week?
It's interesting. I skimmed part of it. I didn't read all the 59 points that he has. However, again, let's take one example. He wants to lower, as many in Washington and both parties sometimes talk about, the corporate tax cut rate from 35 to 25%. But I didn't hear much about small business. Now, let's say we do this. What I didn't see in Mitt Romney's plan, to be fair, is to close the tax loophole for corporations, two-thirds of which pay zero taxes this year in America. Zero. But yet, if they invest in a factory in China, closing the factory here, and keep their profits overseas, that profit is never taxed. So let's close that if you want to bring down the corporate tax rate here. The whole key here is align the tax code towards the real engine of our economy, the job creators, small businesses, because corporations aren't and haven't ever really created jobs. Even in normal times, small businesses create 80% of new jobs.